Why, hello and welcome everybody. Also, good morning. Today I wanted to go ahead and talk about and kind of give my opinion on the new and reworked endgame slash the Atlas system for Path of Exile 2. Now, for people who are unaware, this is kind of like the first iteration of their 0.5 patch, so if later on down the line things change, obviously the video won't be as relevant, right? So, let's talk about the Atlas. When you first spawn into the Atlas, you're going to be in this little location here at the Ziggurat Refuge. And I think the first primary goal is you come over to this tower right over here once you start mapping. And I believe this is when you get the cutscene. By the way, there's going to be spoilers. The cutscene of the Great Wall over here going up. And then you have a few decisions on how you want to progress. You can venture your way towards the tower and start clearing to get your Atlas points that you can see located over here. Or B, another option that you can do is you can choose to ignore this for a little bit and start to pursue two different things. Your league mechanics, such as moving over to like Delirium over here. I think Ritual is over here for me. We have Breach down here. We've got Abyss over here. And I think, is this Temple? I don't know what this is. I didn't touch Temple, so this one as well. Each of these comes with a whopping, I think it's 32 skill points, 34 skill points for each. As you can see, I have handpicked the ones I like and did not do the ones I don't care for. Not to mention the 335 Atlas points to complete this Atlas over here. Now, this, I think, is a much better system than we had in 0.4. 0.4 was basically, Doriani said, go find the corruption and kind of go have fun. And in a sense, I almost liked part of that Atlas more, even though I disagree it's not nearly as good. And I'll talk about why. Now, most of my viewpoints come from solo self-found and or like small private league bases. I'm not the biggest fan of Trade League where everything kind of just goes really, really quickly. And if you are, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But my opinions are going to be based off of my experience. Now, one of the things I am not the biggest fan of right now in the current Atlas is I don't want to call it decision-making paralysis, but it's kind of like that. So what do I mean by this? Well, when you're strong enough, what you do is you come into the wall here, you beeline towards your boss here, which then opens up this section, or I think you have to also kill this boss. Either way, you kill the two bosses, you like interact with the middle, and then it says you need to kill the super bosses, so you come over here, and then that opens up the middle here, the Burning Monolith. You come into the Burning Monolith, you can then clear the boss here, and then you fight the big boss here. This is the new pinnacle, the Arbiter of Divinity. Now, when you clear the Arbiter of Divinity, it will start to basically allow you to complete by quadrant, kind of. So it will do like a mass completion, if you see here, right? Something like this. And this is a cool mechanic, right? This basically means if you're strong enough, you don't have to individually clear maps. You can go do other stuff on the Atlas. And I think that that's fair, right? Well, one issue I kind of have with this is the amount of points you need, though, to actually complete the Atlas is extreme. The 335. And because you cannot respec if, you're trying stuff out, sometimes, like, maybe you decided to go for full wisps and you realize it's too strong for you right now, you can't remove them, which is kind of at first I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but I don't like the whole you get everything on the Atlas. I do think it's always nice to take risks, especially in a game in early access. I think that's important, but I think I prefer like a little bit more player choice when it comes to it, rather than just take everything and, you slowly can remove a few things. Anyway, though, moving on to where I kind of foresee an issue. So when the league first started, I told myself on my character, what are some of my chase items or chase things I want to get? Well, there's a few things. Number one, everyone wants to push to the highest map tier so you can acquire your best bases so you can start crafting, right? Well, another thing is I wanted to get my Rakiatas Flow. Why? Because it's a core part for my build, and a lot of attack builds want to use this. You get to redo your passive tree. It's big. Well, the issue with this is to acquire this lineage gem and many others, you need to fight deadly map bosses. Deadly map bosses typically spawn away from the starting Atlas. So as an example, I came over here, started surfing the ocean to look for my deadly map bosses. Now the issue is, these support gems are not common, they're rare, which would make sense. Which means you have to do a ton of traveling on your atlas to try to find them. And in this instance, the one I'm talking about is a giant whirlpool. So we'll get to a whirlpool here in a little bit. Like this is one of the other deadly map bosses. Here's like the whirlpool I'm talking about. Now, the problem with this is, if you're strong enough to go and hunt the deadly map boss, you are still promoted to do all of your league mechanics first, right? The reason being is, if you do not spend time doing your league mechanics, and you just decide you're going to juice them on the way to your deadly map bosses, there's two problems. Number one, you are not making good use, and this is not like a min-max thing, this is just a feeling of loss, if that makes any sense. And it's not even a FOMO thing, it's a real thing, right? If you don't do your breach, you're not going to have any breach points, right? So then to do breach, you would have to go on the atlas, and you're going to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to do like 10 or 15 maps in here. And then the breach ones specifically take a little bit longer. If it's the stronghold, you have to wait like 7 minutes for all the mobs to spawn, right? Then you have to go back to, your Monastery of Keepers, you do your thing, whatever, you're done with breach. And then you say, okay, I want to go venture on and continue. But then the problem is, you're going to want to do another league mechanic as well. So then you have to go do Abyss, which means you have to spend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the point. You have to do so many maps to just complete Abyss. And the issue is not the grind, right? People like myself, we love playing video games 18 hours a day and grinding. I think the decision, the more of the issue for me is, we went from an atlas where you can explore and do whatever you want to now everything kind of feels pigeonholed at the start, which makes me kind of not like it as much, because instead of spending my first few days of exploring, I'm just doing everything around me, which kind of contradicts the whole uniqueness of exploring. I mean, by the time you finish all of these league mechanics and get all of your atlas points, I would argue many people are burnt out, right? Like that's kind of just me. Maybe that's the wrong take, but a lot of people that I've spoken to say it is a little bit too grindy. Now, what could we do to change that? For me personally, I think that they could actually bring some of the league mechanics closer to the base, but then they could make it so that they don't have nearly as much to clear. Like maybe Breach has 3 and it can stay where it is. Maybe Abyss can stay there too, it has 3. Grab the Delirium and maybe put it like over here, just like 3. And then go ahead and grab, the Ritual and do the same thing. And then now what you could do is, you could just do a few maps, trigger the quest line, and then maybe they can make it like before, where as you're playing around and exploring your atlas, you can unlock those points, whether you're doing it via tablets or points of interest, to kind of promote exploring more, right? Because again, the issue is, if your build is strong enough and you're trying to hunt specific content, you still want to come back and do all of these different league mechanics, right? Which kind of puts like that thorn in your side of like, I want to do this, but I have to do this. And it's very grindy, The second thing I will talk about, which I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think the previous patch may have had this issue too, is the aspect of exploring makes it so you don't want to run league mechanics on your maps. And here's why. If my goal is to get from this map to this map, right? I would want to run my maps as fast as possible. And again, this is not like a min-max thing. It's just maps in general take long, especially if you compare them to PoE1. Movement in this game is difficult to acquire. Not every build can just like zoom around. So naturally, when you're adding multiple league mechanics like Abyss and Breach in your map, you're kind of doubling the time it takes to explore. So you have to choose between exploring or juicing. And I think that it's sometimes okay. Like, don't get me wrong, I think that that's a good decision to have, but I think it's a little too extreme sometimes, because points of interest in the Atlas are so far away, and it just takes so much time to complete, right? Now, to me, that's not the biggest problem. Another issue that I have will run into the types of maps you run, right? Now, I know a lot of people really don't like the whole, I want to only run one type of map, and I get that. I think we should have a system that kind of promotes allowing you to do multiple things. So number one, what is the problem with running 100 different map layouts? I mean, in essence, if they're all fun, there is no problem, right? Well, I can give you one example right now that really bothers me. My character is a permafrost build, right? Permafrost shoots a projectile that pierces. It pierces because GGG made a mechanic built into it that automatically makes it pierce targets. Well, for people who don't know, if you pierce a target, it means you cannot fork and you cannot chain. It's just the mechanics of pierce. The only way you can fork or chain is only if you run out of your pierces. So what's the next mechanic that makes it feel good? The next mechanic would be ricochet, which means projectiles from supported skills have a chance to chain in additional time from terrain. If you're running an open map and there's no terrain to chain off of, this is an entire useless support gem, and the points on my passive tree are also useless. Which means when I'm running indoor maps like, say, Crypt, my clear is like 5 times better, I'm not exaggerating, than when I'm running an open map. Because I shoot the pack, it hits a wall, it ricochets back, kills the pack, whereas in the open maps, I have to just shoot, 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 shoot. And again, normally this would not be a problem for me, but it has been an occurring issue for some builds, where some builds have like a big cone attack, and they specifically don't want to run more linear maps because their cone cannot properly spread. And it just feels like a weird design choice of, I have to learn what maps my build isn't good at, and then I need to avoid them, whereas some builds just hit in a giant circle, and they can kind of kill everything. So, it's to me, it's a little bit weird. I think it would be cool, right, if they could make it so when you reach a biome, like this is biome grass, you could potentially have the option of selecting any grass maps, and then you can run those maps. I think that would be cool. Are they going to do something like that? Probably not, but that would give players kind of choice over the type of map they want to run, and you cannot purposely run the same map over time, right? Unless you can only stay on grass biome, and then again, they could change stuff and modify it. Anyway, though, I kind of just wanted to have a discussion with you guys about the current state of the Atlas to kind of TLDR it. I like that they're taking risks. I think early access is the perfect time to be doing stuff like this. I think it's just too condensed and too grindy at the start. I enjoy the grind, but I would rather it be spread over the Atlas so we can kind of venture out and explore. Overall, I think the wall is a cool idea. I still think it's kind of grindy, but it's not one of my biggest complaints. Mainly about like the league mechanics is my bigger complaint. I will say I got pretty unlucky trying to find the, what is his name? The Patriarch. I mainly found the Matriarch everywhere, and people said that you'll see a beam close by, and I went and cleared everything and didn't see other beams. So I found, I think, 6 volcanoes, which is what I called them, and only 1 of the other guy. That's kind of just unlucky though, right? I did this while I was kind of exploring, looking for my whirlpools, you can see right here. Anyway, just wanted to go ahead and cover that. I'll catch you guys all later. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments down below what you guys feel or how you feel about the Atlas. I think it's a good discussion. So take care, and thanks for watching, everybody.